Good morning, all of you. Dr. Nida, you can start. It's already 10.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. A very warm good morning to all the participants. I extend a very hearty welcome to you all on day 5 of this short-term course on the art and science of scientific communication organized by our college, Padma Shri Institute of Management and Sciences, Bengaluru. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce to you all the resource person of today's first session, Dr. Savitri Bhatt. Dr. Savitri Bhatt is a passionate researcher and a teacher with 20 plus years of experience in the academics. Currently, she is working as a professor at BMS College of Engineering, Bengaluru. After completing her PhD research in the field of transgenic plant development, she carried out her postdoctoral research in molecular neuroscience at National Institute of Health, USA. She has published many articles in reputed scientific journals and also owns patents. She has delivered talks and presented her research findings in numerous national and international conferences. She has received many government fundings for her research activities. She also provides consultancy services and works in collaboration with many industries and institutes. She also works in collaboration with Agri-Food Research Center, Canada, and Department of Pathology and Microbiology, University of Nebraska Medical Center, Omaha, USA. Her research interests include in vitro regeneration and proliferation of medicinal and aromatic plants, extraction and purification of medicinally important compounds, the mechanism of misfolding of protein and their degradation in animal cells, biochemical and molecular characterization of cells exposed to chemicals and medicinally important compounds. Ma'am, we are glad to have you with us today as the resource person of this webinar, and we are looking forward to getting enlightened by you. So I kindly request you to present your talk. Savitri ma'am would be now giving us insights about plagiarism. Over to Savitri ma'am.
Yeah, thank you for introducing. Am I audible there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so good morning, all of you. And I thank Dr. Anuradha ma'am and Indu and other organizers for giving me an opportunity to deliver a talk during your short-term course. The topic, what I'm going to talk today is basically on plagiarism. So plagiarism is basically a very important and a very critical component of any scientific publications. Like whether you talk about a journal publication or you talk about a book chapter or a regular reports what you submit at the college level in your department. So plagiarism or copying, which is now more easily it can be done because of the internet and all the journals and the facilities which are available online. It's very easy to copy and paste the stuff. So which is of course not good as far as your scientific conduct is concerned. So it's an important component. So the topic of my talk today will be plagiarism. That's an ethical component of a scientific publications. And as I told, scientific publication can be a journal or a book chapter or any article or any just a report writing at your institute level or your college level. Let's see what is plagiarism. Plagiarism, if you want to define it, it's basically an act of stealing someone else's work. As I told, it's very easy today to do this because everything is available online. You just can copy paste from any of the sources which are available. Like compared to the olden days where the journals were not available Online, we had to have a hard copy of the journals. We had to go to the library and just sit and read the paper and then write the points from the paper and all that. So that was so what I personally feel is plagiarism has increased with the increase in the, or you can call it as a development in the technology. Because technology has given us an opportunity, it can be used or misused. If you want to talk about plagiarism, basically it's a it's a misused term, what you can tell it, right? So people have misused the technology for plagiarism. So as the technology has developed, it's been easier for the scientific community to just copy it from the Google or a paper which is available online, or just take the synonyms of the words, or article, and then copy paste the sentences or phrases or whatever. Compared to the olden days, where when the technology was not that advanced and everybody has to go to the library and sit and read the article and write down the points, and then you cannot just copy like that. So plagiarism has increased with the increase in technology. Of course, it's one of the very important part. When you write a report, or when you give a seminar or a project presentation, you have to be very careful at the college level regarding the plagiarism. So it's an act of stealing someone else's work or idea, and then what you do is you don't give a credit, and then you show it as it is your own. You present it as it is your own work, it's your own idea, it's your own sentence, it's your own phrase. So that is plagiarism. It can be applied to anything, right? So you can call plagiarism in the photography, or songs are plagiarized. You would have heard, or came across the kinds of songs which have been plagiarized actually, and even ideas can be. So stealing can be in the music field or in the scientific field or any. So the term is the same whether it's in scientific domain or it's other platforms. The common kind of publication misconduct. So here we won't be dealing with the other kind of plagiarism. We'll be dealing plagiarism only which is connected or directly linked with the publication, scientific publication. So the most common type of publication misconduct, what we come across in the day-to-day scientific community, is the data. So data can be plagiarized. So you just take somebody else's data, graphs, tables, or the values which are put in the tables, or the values which are put in the graphs. You just take those and you create your own graph, you create your own table and show it as your own. So that's one major kind of misconduct, publication misconduct. And you don't you show it as it is. You have worked in the laboratory and you are presenting it or publishing it. The second kind of misconduct is words and phrases. So words and phrases, of course, this is very common kind of plagiarism. Just when you write a sentence and you give it for the plagiarism check, you just see that there are some words which you can, because the plagiarism percentage is increased because of a certain word. So what you do is you just find out the synonyms and all that, and then just try to put it there. So that is also a kind of misconduct. And even the phrases or the sentences what you make, if that is plagiarized, so that comes under the misconduct. Ideas and concepts. Ideas and concepts are very there are always a lot of chances that the ideas and the concept what you have, the scientific idea or the concept what you have, it get leaked, right? So for example, you go as a student, you go and why I'm telling this is, even we have as a researcher have, or a student during our time, we have come across all these kinds of issues. So when you attend a conference or any seminar or any platform, scientific platform, what you do is whatever ideas you have, because you're a student and then you have a lot of energy, and then you also want to show to the scientific community or the scientists that you have an idea, you have a concept, new concept, and so on and so forth. So what you do is you basically try to reveal those ideas. You try to tell what is your idea about certain research. Knowingly or unknowingly, what happens during these kinds of discussion or the scientific platform is your ideas and the concepts gets stolen. So you just see that, okay, after a month or so, whatever idea you had, you probably discussed in some scientific platform, and you see that the community, scientific community with whom you discussed has already worked and published on that. You couldn't do it because for one or the other reason you couldn't publish it, and in a month or 2 months you see that it's already being published. So ideas and concepts, most of the time, knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally, it gets leaked, and that's a very vulnerable kind of publication misconduct. It's very sophisticated. It's very vulnerable kind of publication misconduct which happens. Of course, the kind of misconduct, publication misconduct, whatever is happening, the kind of there are kind of punishments which are given to the misconduct, publication misconduct, which is being done by a scientific community. That will, of course, depend on the severity of plagiarism, like how much is being plagiarized, what and all is plagiarized. It's an idea, it's a concept, it's a images, it's a table, it's a graph, or it's a complete research. So it depends on the severity of the plagiarism, how much is being plagiarized. The safer way of saving yourself from this kind of misconduct is just acknowledge, and give the take a permission before you put their idea or put their graph or images into your research article. Just give the credit for the finding whoever is responsible for. So that's the safest way of saving yourself from these kinds of punishment or scientific misconduct. So before we actually start with the actual plagiarism, the categories of plagiarism, types of plagiarism, and how to avoid plagiarism, and then some 1 or 2 cases where which are very well known in the scientific community, and very well plagiarism done by very well known scientist or researcher, and certain tools which can be used to check the plagiarism. Let's see certain terminologies in that. The first terminology is plagiarism. So as I told you, it's basically stealing or kidnapping. Basically, it's an intellectual theft. So plagiarism, as I told, it is applicable to all, right? It can be the music domain, it can be the art or any other mathematical domain. But basically, it's termed as an intellectual theft. Of course, it's a kind of very serious scientific misconduct, and it is given, that this has been given as a serious scientific misconduct and intellectual theft by this American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language. So that has been given. What is generally done during the plagiarism? You present another original thought or idea of somebody else's as your own. And what you do is, you use another exact words without proper citation. So these are the common kind of plagiarism which happens in the scientific world. And it's called as intellectual theft because it can be either art, music, or really the scientific domain, but it's a theft, right? So it's an intellectual theft. It doesn't matter whether it's an art or science. So intellectual ideas can be from the art, music, as well as science. So intellectual doesn't mean that it is only science, right? So it's a kind of serious misconduct. So second terminology is copyright. It's very commonly you come across these terminologies, that is plagiarism and copyright and all. It's a form of protection. Copyright is a kind of protection or a type of protection which is provided by the laws. There are certain laws by the US. Certain codes are there, Indian codes are, European codes are there. So and they vary a little bit, but the basic idea, the basic principle remains same, whether it is from the US code or from the Indian code or the European codes. It's a form of protection provided by the laws, certain laws of certain countries, to the authors of the original works of authorship. So it can be literary, or it can be scientific or dramatic or musical or artistic or any other kind of intellectual work. So it's a kind of, it's a copyright is a kind, it's a sort of protection which is provided. So you're supposed to do this and not do that. So there'll be certain points which have to be taken care when you're going to publish or disclose your ideas in the scientific community or in the literary or dramatic or music or whatever it is. So it's important to have this kind of protection, right? So it's very important to have this kind of protection, which is abide by certain specific kind of laws in individual country. This protection is available to both published and unpublished works. So it's not that the copyright is only protection which is available to the published work. Even if you have an unpublished work, you can always have a copyright on that, so that later on, if after a few months or years you want to publish that, you can protect your work from the theft, right? So you can protect your work until you publish from the kind of theft which can happen. So that is copyright. The next terminology is fair use. It's under copyright law that allows a limited portion of the work. So this fair use comes under the copyright law itself. But the difference between the copyright and the fair use is copyright is basically, it allows you to completely, safeguard your entire work. You are nobody can steal even a part or a portion or a small part of your work or the research. While fair use, which comes under this copyright, you can just take a part or a very limited portion of the work that has a copyright without having to have a permission. So you do not need to have a permission in this case, but you can use a limited part of the work or a portion of a work. So that is called as fair use. Of course, fair use is very, it's not a safe kind of what you call it as conduct, because we do not know what is defined as a limited portion, right? So what is that limited portion which can be taken? So that can vary from country to country and laws to laws. It can be different in the US, it can be different in the in our country. So but you do not need to have a permission actually to publish it from the original author. It was basically created for the purpose of education and research. So fair use can be used for the publication, basically for the education and research, because that is the only area or the domain which is considered to be useful to the humankind. So you can use a part or a limited portion of a research without the information or without taking a permission from the original author for the education or the research purpose only, because it's useful directly to the mankind. Copyright office isn't very helpful on defining what is a limited portion. So this is what I was trying to tell. We do not know where to draw the boundary, and it can vary from law to law. Like US have a different laws, we have a different law of limited portion. It only said that there is no specific number of words, lines, or notes that may be safely taken without the permission. So we really do not. So there's a limitation for that, and it has to be followed as far as it is concerned from each of the countries. So you need to follow that. When using someone else's work, it's best to always give a credit, right? So without giving a credit to what you call it as the concerned person or the concerned researcher or the authority, it is not good to present or what you call it as publish, right? Or show it as your work. According to this, the plagiarism has a very standard definition. Is the use of others' published and unpublished ideas. So it covers both published and unpublished ideas or words or IP, anything it can be, without attribution or permission, and presenting them as new and original rather than derived from an existing source. So you don't tell that it is derived from this source or that, so you don't give credit and just you publish. It can be published one or an unpublished idea or a word or a phrase or a IP, and then you present it as your own. The intent and the effect of plagiarism is to mislead the reader as to the contribution of the plagiarizer. This applies whether the idea or words are taken from abstract, research grant application, review board application, unpublished or published manuscript in any form. It can be the hard copy or the electronic forms of the publication or the manuscript. So when you talk about, like, for example, if you're going to publish a paper Not necessary that you take an idea or the word only from the other paper. What is done in plagiarism is people take it from the research scientist who will apply for the research grant funding agency. So that can also be taken, and applications and the words and the so that is the problem with am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because the internet is a little fluctuating here. So let's see the two broad categories of plagiarism. After this, we'll see the different types of plagiarism. Intentional plagiarism and unintentional plagiarism. So as you see, the term itself says, intentional plagiarism is that you are plagiarizing, right? You know that you are doing the error. You know that you are doing a mistake. You know that you're copying a stuff. You're cutting, pasting. So that is intentional plagiarism. Unintentional plagiarism can be, it's not done intentionally, right? So as the term itself says, intentional plagiarism is passing off as one's own pre-written papers from the internet or other sources which are available, copying an essay or article from the internet, online source, electronic database, and you don't give a credit or don't quote it. You cut and paste from more than one source. That is also possible. You create a paper without giving a due credit to the from wherever you have taken the source you have taken. You borrow words or ideas from other students or sources without giving them the credit. So not only other students or scientific researcher or the scientist, you borrow the idea, you borrow the words, put it in your own paper, and you don't give them the credit. So that is intentional plagiarism, because you know that you are doing a mistake and you still carry on with that. So that's an intentional plagiarism. Unintentional plagiarism can be three different kind of poorly stated stuff. One is paraphrasing, second is quoting, and third is citing. Paraphrasing, changing few words, here and there you change certain words without changing the entire sentence. The original sentence or the structure, you just keep it as it is, but you just change few words from here to there, or changing the sentence structure but not the word. So any of these will come under paraphrasing, unintentional plagiarism. You change the words or you change the sentence, right? You change the word without changing the sentence structure, or the vice versa. Quoting poorly, putting question marks around part of quotation but not around all of it. Like, you don't put a quotation marks in the entire sentence or entire phrase, just a part of it you do it. So it can be an unintentional. Or quotation, or you put a quotation mark around the passage that is partly paraphrased or partly quoted. It's not a complete quote, you are actually putting a quotation mark. So that is an unintentional plagiarism. Citing poorly, you just omit a citation, or you cite it wrongly or inaccurately. You don't cite it properly. You don't give a complete due credit for the work. You cite it, but it's not cited in a proper way. Because if you would have seen the papers, they will in the end, generally in the research article, it will be written, right? If you want to cite this article, kindly cite it as, right? And the entire sentence will be given, like the name of the research, the research lab, which is where it is being conducted, the scientific community who have done that, and so on, address, and so on, so forth. The title, everything, the volume, issue, page number, everything, right? So it's generally in any of the standard journals, in the papers, you will see that is being given. If you want to cite this article, kindly cite it as, right? So that is given. So you need to take the entire thing, how the researcher have asked you to cite for. You cannot omit or remove a part of that and then cite. So that is citing unintentional plagiarism. Uh, let's see what are the different types here. So unintentional is one broad category, and intentional is a broad category. Copying, patchwork, and paraphrasing. So these are the three different kind or the type of plagiarism. Let's see copying and patchwork. Most well known, sadly, of course, very common kind of plagiarism, simplest kind of plagiarism, right? Very easy kind of plagiarism is copying. If you copy someone else's work and put your name, you have plagiarized. If the text is taken and is not acknowledged the source, you have plagiarized. So copying is a very common kind of plagiarism. It's an easiest and the simplest way of plagiarism. Patchwork, the second kind of plagiarism, it's similar to almost the copying. Of course, it's the second most common kind of plagiarism. This will occur when a plagiarizer borrows the phrases and clauses or the sentences or the words from the original source, and change a little bit and weave into their own writing kind of stuff. So without putting the phrases in the quotation mark or citing the author. So that is a patchwork plagiarism. Paraphrasing is a third type of plagiarism. This occurs when a plagiarizer paraphrases or summarizes the entire another works. So the difference between the patchwork and the paraphrasing is, in the paraphrasing, they take up, complete work of an individual or a scientist and then put it as their own. While in the patchwork, they take a part of the phrase or a sentence from the writing and then put it as their own. So that is the difference. So even changing the words a little bit synonym, generally, because as I told you, nowadays it's very easy, just Google it and find the synonyms there and reduce the plagiarism percentage. So even changing the words or a little or using synonyms, but retaining the author's essential thought or sentence and all that, without citing the source, is still a plagiarism. Unintentional plagiarism, as I told you in the previous slide also, it's a fourth type of plagiarism. It occurs when the writer incorrectly quotes, as I told you, there are three different types, basically quoting, paraphrasing, and citing poorly. So any of these can be an unintentional. Maybe author is actually not mean to do that and he does, or he or she does that. So that becomes an unintentional plagiarism. If a writer has incorrectly quoted or incorrectly cited a source, not correctly cited, it could be misconstructed as dishonesty. But basically, it's not done intentionally from the writer's part, but it still is can be considered as not being honest towards that. So there should be a lot of basically seriousness when it comes to publishing the work, right? A lot of seriousness and a lot of maturity required by the scientific community when they come to publishing the paper or a their research work. So seriousness, why I say is, when you are serious towards publishing an article or a research paper, you definitely would not like to miss or omit certain important part of the citation, right? So you see it several times, you read it several times, you correct it several times. You don't just give it or upload your paper just after doing once, right? So you go on doing several times so that you avoid any kind of error, small errors which can happen. So a lot of seriousness and maturity is required as far as the research publication is concerned. This is again a very common kind of plagiarism, self-plagiarism. The practice of an author using a portion of their previous writing. So generally you would have written a paper, you would have published it, but what happens is when you go for the second or the third publication, what you try to do is you just try to take the work what you have already published, right? You have already published the article, and you just take a part of a sentence or a phrase from there and put it in your new one. So basically you have only written that, and then you're self-plagiarizing. You're copying the same what you have written into another article of your own. So that is self-plagiarism. It's a very widespread kind of, it's very well-known widespread kind of practice which can happen. Most of the time it is not intentional, but of course it violates the copyright of the publisher. So basically it may not be directly a problem with the author, because it's an author sentence only, right? It's your own sentence which you have published. But you shouldn't forget that when you're publishing, it's not only you who are connected with the publishing the article. You are the one who have worked in the lab. You are the one who have researched. You are the one who have written the article. You are the one who are communicating the article. But not only you who is involved in the entire process. It's the publishers who are involved, right? So you go for the publishers, you go for a Springer, Woodbury, and so on and so forth. So you know that there are Elsevier. So there are publishers, well-known publishers. So when a journal comes under the publication, when you write an article, you need to be very sure that you don't self-plagiarize, because you are basically violating the the copyright of the publishers also. So as I told you, in the entire process, it's not only you who is involved, it's the publishers who are involved, it's the audience who's reading your paper is involved. So we have to be very careful about the self-plagiarism. You cannot just tell that, okay, it's my own writing, I'll just take a para or a phrase from there and I'll put it in my new paper. But no, you are plagiarism because you are violating the right which is given to the publishers. So no consensus whether this is a scientific misconduct or not. There are different different views regarding the self-plagiarism. Each of them vary from one region to the other region, but still it is considered to be the misconduct because you are violating the copyright that has been assigned to the publishers by self-plagiarism, right? You can check this, plagiarism tools. There are a lot of tools which are available. If you want to check online also, you can. I will mail the PPT to your institution. You can just open it and just see that YouTube link for the plagiarism check. Now, the most important is, why do we actually need to plagiarize? Why do people plagiarize, or why the scientific community? So we are basically talking about the scientific misconduct here. We're not talking about art, music, or any other domains here. Now, why do people plagiarize, right? So the first, see, there are different categories here. One is a student category, right? You and our students, there are student category. Then there are, academicians, like, teachers and the academic teachers or the professors level. And then there's a totally one different category, that is the researcher or the scientist. So there are some 2-3 different categories. Now, why does a student plagiarize? So the intention behind a student plagiarizing stuff will be different from a professor plagiarizing, will be different from a scientist or a researcher plagiarizing, right? And the type of plagiarism. The student would probably not go for plagiarizing directly an idea or a concept. They may take a words or sentences and then, put their own and so on and so forth. And the researcher and the professor may or may not take an idea and concepts and then plagiarize that. So there are different the entire scientific community can also be divided into subgroups: student community, professors and all, teachers and all, and then totally who are involved only in the research. The intentions of plagiarizing will be different for each of these categories. Generally, we considered that, why do students plagiarize? If you see this graph here, the chart here, you can see that the lack of research skill is one of the reasons students want to plagiarize. They don't have research skills. They are not exposed to the right research skill, which can give them good ideas or concepts which they can use it to work on. So that is one of the reason for the plagiarism by the student. And you can see that in the entire chart here, that plays a maximum percentage. That contribution is maximum here. Next comes your lack of time. So what happens in most of the college level or institute level, what we do is we generally give the deadlines, right? So within this much hour, within that much hour, or within a day or two, you have to present your paper, you have to present this seminar, and you give them the topic. So what happens is students, because they're preoccupied with a lot of other things as well, not only their scientific work or the academic work, right? They are also preoccupied with a lot of other things. What they do is they just try to copy it from some source and then put it. So basically that is happening because of the lack of time. They are not given enough time to go through or understand and then put it in their own words. So lack of time is a second major contribution by the students who can, plagiarism. Careless note taking. So yeah, this is also, students, there are different categories of students also. There are some students who are very serious. There are students who will, who just want to tell that, okay, let me just take it from there, or not, not very careful in taking the notes and then copy and paste and put it. confusion on how to cite sources. This is the least percentage, right? Because if you have a confusion on how to cite a source, you can always approach your professors or teachers that, I'm writing this, how do I cite it? I'm taking this part from this article, how do I cite it? How do I quote it? So you can always approach a teacher or a professor or your head in the department and clear this confusion of how to cite or quote your work, right? Quote the other's work in your paper. So these are the major reasons why a student plagiarize. So these are the general reason why any public would, any scientific community would plagiarize. Ignorance. Ignorance is, I don't think so in the today's world, this is, is very much contributing to the plagiarism, because most of the scientific community are aware of what is right and what is not. But still some people feel that, okay, let me take this word from there, it is fine. It's not a plagiarism. So that is a ignorance. Knowledge, a lack of knowledge on the ethics. So generally these kinds of workshop or the trainings are conducted in the department, in the institute, so that the student or the other academic, teachers, all these community, they have been exposed to how to write an article ethically, right? Sometimes what happens is, due to poor writing skill, what you do is you try to plagiarize you, because you don't get a very perfect word or scientific word. So okay, let me browse it, let me Google it and find it out what is synonym for this and what, and then you write. So poor writing skill can also be one of the contributor to the reason why people go for plagiarism there. Ambition and competition. So this is a very, ambition is what you call self attained goal, or whatever. You are highly ambitious, you want that in a year I want to publish some 10 papers and so on and so forth. So you're highly ambitious. So when you have an aim of publishing 10 papers, it's not that 10 papers you will sit and write and work within a year so much that you can publish 10 papers, right? So that you're highly ambitious, being totally ambitious. Competition is one issue in our country, because that when you are given a hike, a salary hike, or you're given some kind of incentives only when you publish these many papers or these many articles. So and you see that the lab which is very adjacent to your lab is publishing already so many papers, or your colleague who is working in that area has already come out with some 2-3 papers and you don't have any. So that's also one of the reason scientific community go for plagiarizing. They can go for plagiarizing. Pressure from seniors or your head up. So you within 2 months you have to write this paper and come out with a complete research article. So what they do is, because you have a very short time, you are being pressurized from the seniors, and you just go for writing something and publishing or showing it to your seniors. This is a kind of system which prevails in our country: publish or perish. uh, this is almost similar to this point here, that is competition, because we know that if you don't publish, you will not survive in the scientific domain. If you don't come out with these many articles in these many a month, you are not going to survive. So publish or perish is similar to the kind of this point here, that is the competition. Because of the competition, you need to publish. If you don't publish, you are not going to survive. So this is another reason people can go for plagiarizing faster. You don't have time. You want to do it very fast. In a month, you want to come out with 1 paper or 2 paper at least. So that speed, if you want to publish, so this can also be reason you can go for plagiarizing. Chances of getting caught or action taken is slim. So this is the last point, is very, at a smaller scale, until it is published in a very big journal or in a good, publishers, with the good publishers, the chance that you will get caught or, some action will be very serious, action will be taken against you because you have plagiarized, is very less. So because of this reason, people feel that, okay, the scientific community feels that, okay, let me go for publishing. Who is bothered? Who is going to see that whether I have copied or not? So these are the reason why, scientific community can go for plagiarizing. And these are the simple reason why a student would go for plagiarizing. what are the legal implications of plagiarism? The first thing is it against the law? Like, if you go for plagiarism, is it against the law? Yes, it's against the law, right? Copying anybody's idea or the paper or the phrases and publishing it as your own without giving a due credit is against the law. So in the different, what you call it as level, there are different kinds of checks. For example, college level or the school levels or university levels, Ali, what happens is, okay, you have cheated on, there are certain policies that will be displayed in the website itself. If you plagiarize this, you are bound to, this is an offense and you will be punished in this way and that way. So it is generally, it depends on individual university or the college or the institute, what they are going to give as a punishment for plagiarism. There are different levels of offense. So like, for example, if this is at the college level, you fail the assignment in which the candidate has plagiarized. So you fail the candidate, right? Give a very low grade or fail him or her to give as a punishment that the student has plagiarized. Or what you do is you completely fail the candidate in the course itself. So that's a second level of punishment which can be given. The final level of punishment which can be given and which is more severe is suspension. So generally, they at the lower level they go for the first one, that is failing the student or the candidate in the assignment in which the plagiarism has happened, rather than failing for the entire course. Let's see one or two examples. This is a very well known. This I think in the previous presentations also I have shown Dr. Mashelkar's resignation due to the plagiarism. Of course, I'm not very sure how many of you are aware of this. He was a CSI director then, and R.A. Mashelkar, he resigns from the patent panel because of the plagiarism charges. So it was published in the paper, it was published in articles, it was, there are a lot of hue and cry for the plagiarism which has happened because of R.A. Mashelkar copying certain part of the work. Right? So what was shown, not part of the work, but verbatim. So verbatim. So what has happened is it was known, it was seen that he has taken a part of the student or doctoral student and an associated in Oxford IPR Center, University of Oxford, and he has just taken a part of that and then put it in the report there. And that was a charge he had, and because of which he has to resign from the patent panel. He just came out of the patent panel, and you can imagine at that big level, R.A. Mashelkar, a director of CSI, at that level, these things have happened. There have been a case where mass resignation from scientific reports. I don't know how many of you are aware of this. This is a very good editorial board have resigned. It's a very good reports there. It's a very good articles are published in the scientific reports. Very reputed articles are published and very reputed research are published in the scientific reports. 19 researchers have actually stepped down after the journal, the scientific report, that decided not to retract a paper that was plagiarized. The plagiarism was done for the work which was carried out by the John Hopkins medical scientist. So the paper, generally what happens in the plagiarism, they retract a paper. But because it was not retracted by the scientific report, 19 researchers stepped down from the editorial board of the scientific report. So this was very huge action which was taken by the researchers themselves from the editorial board. They themselves stepped down because the journal did not agree to retract a paper. We have a different cases which are available. Politicians, they copy paste their speeches from the other politicians. Authors, they copy paste writers, poets, scientists, musicians, and all. They did a lot of cases. If you Google, you'll find a lot of cases already available. So this is a part of an article which I'm trying to show here is like, complete plagiarism, the most of the, you can see that this is published in the Nature Americans. This is a different one and this is a different journal. You can see that this is exactly copied here. You can see how exactly it is copied here. This red one, you can see is copied here. DNA microarrays can be used to measure. DNA microarrays can be used to measure, can be used to measure. So this most pharmaceutical sold today, you can see that most pharmaceuticals, so entire thing is copied here, right? Entire thing is copied here. And it's been done by a good pharmaceutical. You can see that this is being published by SmithKline Pharmaceuticals, right? And this is being published by somebody else's who has copied it here. So there are a lot of cases, just one or two I'm telling, but if you'll see, there'll be lots of cases. Now, how do you avoid plagiarism? Simple strategy. Just be honest. Just give a credit, due credit to the authors or whosever work you have used. Just acknowledge them. That's a simple way of avoiding the plagiarism. Another way to avoid plagiarism is to use your own work as much as possible, as often as possible. Quote and cite sources usually required and inevitable when doing the research. That's how you back up your own work, right? So basically, be honest, acknowledge, quote, cite others' work, use your own work, use your own words, use your own sentences as much as possible. So you'll see that the plagiarism is almost zero if you do that. Another way is to quote or cite your sources very well. It should not happen that it comes under unintentional plagiarism. That should not happen, right? So you saw that intentional and unintentional plagiarism. If you do not cite or quote properly, it can come under unintentional plagiarism. So you should not do that, because that's very important to be honest, right? What are the other ways of plagiarism? Avoiding the plagiarism. For short quotes, you can always use quotation marks in the sentence, right? If you have a longer one, the entire passage you can, mark it. If you have a chart, table, diagram, cite the source directly below with a statement that the permission is obtained from so, and so, and that is how it is being published. We are not publishing without what you call it as permission. So that's a simple way. All sources should be disclosed, whatever it is, right? Whatever kind of stuff or a material you have taken, kindly disclose everything, right? So material, illustrative material, chart, diagram, disclose everything. Give a due credit to the researchers or the authors. Take a permission from the research community from where you are taking it, right? So this has been given in the COPE, that is Committee on Publication Ethics. That's a committee which is involved in the publication ethics in the 1999. So you need to follow all these if you want to avoid plagiarism. This is the last. This is the last part of the publication. Why do we need ethically publishing? Why do we need to publish something ethically? Like, what is the reason you want to publish ethically? It ensures your scientific progress, right? Yes, of course, scientific progress is very important, though it can be at a slower rate, slower pace, but we have to progress scientifically. So if you publish ethically, you have a habit of publishing ethically, you are ensuring a scientific progress for yourself. Ethical behavior, seeing the researcher or the professor, the students follow the same. If the researcher or a professor, copies or, plagiarizes, the student would follow the same. So the behavioral transformation or the behavior, you are passing the same kind of ethical behavior to the one who are working with you. So if you are ethically publishing, you basically are, promoting an ethical behavior in the scientific community. Of course, it protects life and planet. That's very important. It gives a very good reputation for you. Okay, you know that once you plagiarize, once you come under the the category of plagiarism, your reputation is gone. Your reputation is at stake, right? So you cannot apply for the funding. You cannot publish for several more years. No good researcher would like to work with you, and so on and so forth. So you're spoiling your own reputation, right? So this is important for your own reputation as well. Of course, When you publish ethically, you are opening a door for a lot of opportunities, funding agency. You will have good research community who would come forward and work with you, who will initiate that, okay, I would like to work with you, I would like to carry out this kind of research with you, and so on and so forth. So you open doors basically for a lot of opportunities. Let's see the list of the um, tools which are available for the plagiarism. Dupli checker, it's 100% free. Extremely easy to use. You can perform so many searches per day. Copy leaks offer an entire website plagiarism scan. You can scan so many pages. Paper Rater offer 3 tools. It can check your grammar, plagiarism detection, writing suggestion, and so on and so forth. Plagiarism offers a free download of plagiarism software for Windows. So many languages are supported. Checker, plagiarism checker, it's a 100% free tool. Easy and detailed instructions are given. You can go for that and check it. Plagium, very easy to use, scans up to so many words at a time. Lag scan, flag tracker. It scans more than 20 million academic work for any plagiarist copy. Qtext, it's a 100% free tool. Again, easy to use interface, unlimited usage without having to create an account or downloading software. Viper again is a 100% free tool, scans your document through more than 10 billion resources from the online sources. Authenticate, this is a tool which is followed by a certain specific kind of publishers. It contains, what it does, it compares a database containing billions of items that editors from over these many publishers screen against to detect the plagiarism. So this is a very good tool. Of course, it's not a free tool, but it's a good tool to check your publication, whether how much is your plagiarism in your research article. You can see that which of the publishers they follow this. You can see Springer's, IEEE, Nature, Elsevier's, Springer, IEEE, Nature, Willis. So all these publishers, that all these publishers are very well known publishers. They follow Authenticate tool to check for the plagiarism. So you just cannot escape the plagiarism if you have done through this tool. It's so sensitive. You can also, this is a YouTube video which shows how the Turnitin checks the plagiarism. There are some courses which are available in the Coursera. I think you are all aware of that, edX and Coursera. They provide you some free courses. Only for the certificate you need to pay for that. Otherwise, you can just, for the knowledge purpose, you can always do a online course in Coursera, and there is a course available in the plagiarism as well. So this is about today's talk on plagiarism. What I would like to give here is a small activity which I expect you all to do. There are so many participants. I think this activity is for the student community. So what you do is you take a case of a scientific plagiarism. You know that you can browse, you can see through the papers which gives the cases of scientific plagiarism. When you see a case on a scientific plagiarism, prepare a page or 2 of a report of the same. When you're preparing a report on the of 1 or 2 case, whatever you take, make sure that you prepare, even if you prepare a half a page report or a page of report, make sure that you are preparing that report completely using your own words, your own phrases. You're not copying. Just forget about the poor English writing skill or anything for that matter. Write in your own words. A page, just a page. Read a complete article of a case on a scientific plagiarism and prepare a page report or a half page report completely in your own word without searching for a synonyms or the phrases or words or so on and so forth. Just prepare a half a page or a page report and upload in the Google Classroom or a MS Teams or wherever your teachers would create a document for uploading. You can upload it, all of you, and then get it corrected by respective teacher in charge, and then see that how much you are able to understand the talk. That will tell how much you're able to understand the seriousness of plagiarism in your scientific writing. So this is about today's talk. I'm done with this. If you have.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for effectively explaining various aspects of plagiarism. Thank you very much once again. And
Thank
you.
Once
Yes,
again,
We have
Nutana,
time so that we can open.
for discussion. Before that, I just want to appreciate and tell me, Dr. Savitri, you are amazing. You are really amazing when it comes to, you are a very good teacher and a researcher, and above all, the humbleness and the pace with which you talk during your lectures. It always, sometimes I envy the way you teach. It is
it's very appreciative of you, ma'am, to to say like that, ma'am. It's really appreciative to say like that. Thank you very much.
I feel you are not well, but still
Yeah,
you,
ma'am. Yeah, have a fever. Yeah.
yeah, you have accepted, and it's like wonderful thing. And there were so many appreciative messages which are coming in this chat box, and now it is open for discussion. We will not trouble you more. Just 5 minutes, 5 to 6 questions.
Yes.
If anyone has got, you can take, and you can proceed with your day, Dr. Sam.
Yes, ma'am.
now the session is open for discussion and queries. And I would like to once again thank Savitri ma'am. Savitri ma'am is an effective communicator. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your clear and effective presentation regarding plagiarism. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nida, somebody
Yes,
is
ma'am.
for the 24th slide presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the participants would want to know about the course regarding the plagiarism. So they want to see the slide. And I would like to tell all the participants that the video of this presentation of this session would be available on YouTube. You can anytime visit the link and you can get the information. But ma'am is right now, she is displaying the slide, which is about the course on plagiarism.
So actually, students can just go to Google it, Coursera, you Google Coursera. This is an plagiarism. So you will get a lot of courses in Coursera. So what happens in Coursera is, you will get the courses if you want to just understand what it is. This is one of this one plagiarism. So you Google Coursera, you go to Coursera, you register there, log in, like you create your own ID there in the Coursera with your mail and all that. And then you select, you just type plagiarism there. So you will get a lot of courses on plagiarism. You just select whichever you want to go through. See, for the knowledge base and all, Coursera doesn't charge. But if you want a certificate, to get a certificate, you need to, exams you can take week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 exams you can take. They'll be giving online quizzes and all that you can take. But if you want a certificate on the plagiarism, for that, I think some minimal in dollars, like, it's generally around, it comes to around 4,000 to 5,000 or 3,000 rupees per certificate. So students can take up that. It's not only for the plagiarism. Coursera is a platform for a lot of other courses also. All the scientific courses, you get it in Coursera, as well as edX and Coursera. So both of these are free, like the way you have Udemy and all that nowadays. So that's little cheaper. Udemy is little, cost effective for the students. You can see Coursera is a good platform because it is given by scientists from the universities such as John Hopkins, Harvard, Stanford, and so on and so forth. So you get a good, nice certificate after doing the complete course. For certificate, you need to pay. To undergo the course, you don't need to pay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there is another query, and the question is, what is the percentage of plagiarism accepted?
So the percentage of plagiarism, which is generally, see, it varies from the type of journal from one to the other. Like, for example, a very high quality journal, like the one with the publishers such as Strangers or Elsevier's, less than 5% is acceptable. Sometimes when you go for the thesis, for example, PhD thesis, like PhD thesis from VTU is different, from Bangalore University is different, from any other university it can be different. From some university it ranges somewhere between 12 to 15%. So it depends, the percentage of plagiarism accepted depends on the reputation of the publishers, as well as the type of publication what you're talking about. You're talking about a thesis writing, or you're talking about a research article publication. When you're talking about the thesis writing, it depends, the university norm may vary from one to the other. When you're writing a research article and publishing with the publishers, it may depend on from one publishers to the other publishers. But it's always wise, to have your plagiarism below 5%. It's always wise, safer side, have it below 5%.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question is, some books by different authors have same content. How those books are published?
Yeah, so if you saw one of my slides in which I just showed that, it is where I just told that very important point about the 1 minute, in which I just showed that the last point, which was important because of the what you call it as this point, chances of getting caught or action being taken for plagiarism is very slim, right? So if you see those kind, because of this specific point, people just, it's not that whatever is being plagiarized is being brought to the notice to the publishers or authorities or scientific community. Most of the time it's just not brought into the notice only, right? So because this is very slim, the action taken is very slim, and chances of getting caught is very low, these kinds of things can happen, same content, put it in the other place, and so on and so forth. So this is why people go for plagiarism. Otherwise, if you're scared of that, and see, if you're ethically sound and if you're scientifically strong, you would probably not publish rather than copying, right? But because of the all these reasons, that the competition, publisher perish, and pressure from the seniors, all these reasons, it's you need to publish, you need to go for publication. In that time, what you feel is, okay, I may not get caught at all, so that content you take from there and then put it here, and so on and so forth. So that is possible.
Ma'am, the next question is, while quoting reference, it has to be as it is, but it shows it's copied. How to avoid this?
So you have all these tools available. When you go for putting your, like, suppose you write an article and you give it for the put it in the plagiarism tool. In that plagiarism tool, when you give, don't take the entire don't keep your entire article and put it there. You have to go part by part. Take an abstract, put it there first, see plagiarism, then go for the material method, put it there. Go for the result discussion, put it in the tool, check that. Generally what happens, students, what they do is they take starting from the title till the references, and they completely give it to the Turnitin or whatever tool you are having. In that case, what happens is it comes as you have copied the citation, right? So you shouldn't do like that. It's not that just plagiarism tool you have and you give whatever and you get. It's not like that. There is a process to do. Take a part, each part, take abstract, take material method, take introduction, put results and discussion, and then see what is the plagiarism percentage in each category rather than giving the entire article. If you obviously put the references with references, it will show that it is copied, right?
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, the next query is, if we skip plagiarism, can we publish the paper or whatever work we have done?
Yeah, obviously you can. See, the work, what you do, it depends on the quality of work, the authenticity of work, the lab in which you have carried out the work. If you do not plagiarize, you can publish. Uh, and as I told you, you will be having one good reputation in the scientific community. So you can, yes.
The next query is, how do I take copyright for my unpublished work?
Okay, so copyright, you can go to the websites for the different country or the region wise copyright. For example, there are a lot of copyright amendment act, and then that vary from the region to region. Just go to the website of your country or the copyright office, and then you follow the procedure what is given in that copyright as per the copyright amendment act. So it vary from country to country. In our country also we have our own copyright for the IP or the intellectual whatever idea or the unpublished work you want to take. You just follow the process as given region wise or the country wise. So you can always go to the copyright office or their web page or their home page and follow the process for your unpublished article or unpublished idea. How do you do? So generally what people do is they also go for patenting the work, whatever minimum work you do, just patent it. Patent it and then keep it so that you may not publish it immediately. After a few more years, when you add a little bit more data, you can publish. But once you patent it, it's more safer for you, right? So that is also one option.
I request all the participants to please write the feedback, and the link is in the chat box. Ma'am, the next query is, once we take patent of our work, we can't go for publication, right?
It depends on what kind of or what part of the work you have patented. So if you have patented the entire work, patent also gets published. If you are aware of that, once you file a patent, after a few years, it gets published in the website, right? So you can just download that as a published patent and your entire work get published there. If you want to patent, as that's why I told you, you should not put the entire work in the patent. Whatever part you think that has to be safeguarded, your idea or concept, that you patent it, and then you work on that, get more data on that, and then you go for publication. Because if you publish with the patent for the entire work, you cannot publish. Entire work as it is patented cannot be published again.
Ma'am, the next query is, what is the difference between referencing and citing?
References are, citing means, 1 minute. I have a meeting now. So what we'll do is, so what was the question? Yeah, referencing and citation, right? So fine. So references are the complete, citation is the part of a reference which is put in the text. So you have a complete reference, right? So in the reference, what do you have? You have a title, you have a title of the work, you have the volume, the issue, the page number, the researchers who have worked, the lab, everything, right? So references is a complete information about the work, the title of the work, the journal in which it is published, the volume, issue, number, and the address of the of the scientific community who has published that work. While citation is a part of that reference which you put it in the text, so you cite in the text, or put it in the introduction, or put it in the results and discussion. So that becomes a citation.
Okay,
and
ma'am.
references will have their own format that will vary from journal to journal. A citation is, until it is mentioned that you cite it like this. In the text, you have to cite it like this. In the end, you cite it like this. So you need to follow that.
Ma'am, there are so many queries coming up. I would like to know, I think you have another meeting ahead of you, ma'am.
Yeah, I have an NIRF meeting now.
Okay, ma'am. So we'll take some more questions. A last question, perhaps. what if I publish an article and some part of it is same as other article which was unpublished?
Of your own work?
That is not mentioned. That is not clearly asked in the ma'am.
So if it's your own work, it's not a problem. Like, you did not publish your work. Unpublished it is, you had an idea, you kept it writing, you wrote it and kept it in one place, and then you did not publish for one or the other reason. Then you can always go for
Published
publishing.
already? Ma'am,
Okay,
if
ma'am.
it is published already, can you use in your own publication again? That's what they're asking, I mean.
Published already is self-plagiarism you're talking about, like your own?
Huh. Is it allowed?
That is what I told, right? Self-plagiarism is not a good thing. That is why you are violating the rules of laws of a copyright law of a publisher then. So you need to take a permission from a publisher that, this one what I published, I want to publish it
Once
again.
it is published, you have to take from a...
Yeah, even if it is your own, otherwise it will be a self-plagiarism.
Ma'am, there is one last query, and the query is, in assignment or analysis or survey report, we keep the basic data. We can't change it. So we can give it a reference. Will it appear in plagiarism check?
So that is what I told you. When you give it as a reference, when you give your entire thing in the tool, you should remove the references and put first, right? You cannot put it. So when each of the plagiarism tool will show, this is, they will give a different colored zones like green, red, orange and all, based on from where it is being copied or whatever it is. So you should keep it separately. You cannot put everything together. It will show otherwise.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much once again for effectively explaining various aspects of plagiarism regarding the tools and seriousness and consequences of plagiarism. I'm sure all young researchers would have effectively highlighted about publishing the work ethically. Thank you once again, ma'am, on behalf of Padma Shri Institute of Management and Sciences. Thank you once again. I thank you wholeheartedly. Thank you, ma'am. I request all the participants to join for the next session, which will be at around 5 p.m. And the resource person will be Dr. Seema, and she will be giving us insights about literature survey, followed by another talk by Dr. Sudipta, who will be enlightening us about statistics in biological research. Once again, I thank all the participants for effectively participating, for actively involving in this session. And I once again thank the resource person, and once again thank everyone in this session. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Savitri. Here, let her go for her meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.
She can leave. And I have one or two things here to clarify to the participants. First thing is, somebody asked a question about if you want to patent, you should not publish it. That thing, I think I can answer that question. Before patenting, filing a patent, you should not publish. You should not even do the oral presentation, or you should not do the poster presentation. You will have 1 year time. Once you publish it, before 1 year, you have to go for patenting. Before 1 year, exactly the date they will follow. Okay. Safer side is, if you want to patent it, don't publish it. After filing the patent is in public domain. They will publish it because everybody will have a right to challenge that. Everybody can read that patent and they can say that it is not novel, it is not obvious, it is obvious. All these things they can challenge by giving suitable references or documents for that. Okay. Anyway, after the patent is published, once you file the patent and they will publish it and it will be put in the public domain. After that, you are supposed to publish it. It is better scientific evidence you will have, because anyway it is there in the public domain. And your research findings can be published after you file a patent. Otherwise, you will lose the priority. You will lose the priority. Your own publication will become prior art to the patent. It will lose its novelty. That is about that question. Second thing is, as we are talking about patents, we are going to have excellent sessions next week on patenting alone, on IPR alone. I wish all of you should join and take the advantage of it. It includes many, many interesting topics, starting from the process of patenting to finally ending towards how you can do a course in patenting and how you can get a funding or grant to file a patent. Till then, we have covered almost the entire gamut of topics in that IPR sessions, which I request all the participants to take the advantage of it and utilize this. Then you can really get the complete hang of what a research is and how to publish it, starting from publication to book chapter to journal to plagiarism to Mendeley to everything will be covered in this particular sessions. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I hope all the participants have noted down what our principal ma'am just mentioned. And I request all the participants to get involved in the workshop activity, which Savitri ma'am gave you all. We will again remind you and give you detailed instructions regarding the same in the WhatsApp group. I hope all of you are highly benefited by today's session. See you all in the evening for the next session. Have a fruitful day ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.